Haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Nun Dalid Amud Beis, starting with Daf Nun Dalid Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the bottom. The Gemara brings back a quotation which is found in Masechta Alvos in the 5th parak. Tonu Rabbanon Asar Dvorim Nivru Be'erev Shabbos Ben Hashmoshes. There are 10 things that were created during the twilight period Ben Hashmoshes on Erev Shabbos. Ve'eluhen, and these are they. Be'er, the rock that followed Klal Yisrael around in the Midbar for 40 years, providing for them water, what we call the Be'er Miriam. Uman, the supernatural bread that they ate that was Min HaShomayim during their sojourn in the desert. V'keshes, and the rainbow, after HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed the world with the Mabul, he makes a covenant with mankind that he will not destroy the world once again with water. Haksav, the lettering that would be engraved on the luchos, v'hamichtav, and the implement that would be used to engrave those letters, v'haluchos, the luchos themselves that were the first set of luchos, the etzbe Elokim, kivro shel Moshe, Moshe Rabbeinu's burial place, umaro she'omad ba Moshe ve'Eliyahu, the cave that Moshe and Eliyahu stood in. Moshe Rabbeinu stood in that cave where HaKadosh Baruch Hu said he's going to pass through, giving Moshe Rabbeinu a glimpse, kaviyachol, of his back. Whereas Eliyahu, he stood in that cave when he was in hiding. Pesichas pia oson, the opening of the mouth of the donkey in the story of Bilam. Upsichas pia oretz livloyes harishoyim, and the opening of the mouth of the ground in the story of Korach and his rebellion. V'yeshoimim, now it's added that we did not see before, additional v'yeshoimim af makle shel Aaron shgadeho uprocheho, the staff of Aaron after the rebellion of Korach. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu instructed that all of the shvatim put their sticks, their maklos, together, and Aaron's makil grew within it, on it, almonds and flowers, and that indicated that Aaron HaKohen was the one who was the chosen one. Some say that even the mazikin were created Erev Shabbos ben Hashmoshes. V'yesh oimrim af bigdoi shel Adam Arishon, on top of Nun Daled Amud Beis, the begodim of Adam Arishon. Take a look at Rashi on the very top. Bigdo shel Adam Arishon shahayu chakukois boy kol min chaya ubehema. All of the animals were engraved on that clothing, and that beged of Adam Arishon. V'hu nimsar leNimrod. It was then subsequently given over to Nimrod, as I believe the Medrash says that because of all of the animals that were found on this beged, so it was a way of then trapping the animals and hunting them down. They all were attracted to this beged. Al Kain Yoimar Ki Nimrod Gibor Tzayid, and therefore Nimrod was somebody who was a trapper. Subsequently, Ve'esav Hargoi V'nitnotloi. Esav killed Nimrod, and he took that beged for himself. Lefikach Haya Ish Sayid. Ve'hein Shekosuv Bohen Hachamudos Asher Ata Babayis. The begodim referred to as a beged that was chamudos. From the word that it was something that was choymed. Esav desired such a beged. Rashi brings down also Vani Shamati begodav shel Adam Harishon. Hainu kasnas or shahayu loi. This was the beged that HaKadosh Baruch Hu provided for Adam and Chava. The Gemara brings another brisa, Tanu Rabbanon, Shiva Dvorim Mechusim Mibnei Adam. There are 7 things that are hidden from mankind. Eluhen, these are them. Yom HaMisa, the day of one's death. V'Yom HaNechama, the day that a person is comforted. That means that his daigos, his worries and concerns and anxieties will go away. V'Oimek Adin, the depths of his judgment can't be comprehended. What is the ultimate judgment on a person, that everything will be taken into account. Ve'ein adam yodea ma belibo shel chaveiro. A person doesn't know what is in a person's heart. Ve'ein adam yodei b'ma mistak. He doesn't know what exactly is going to then cause him to have profit. Umalchus beis David mosai tachzor. When will the kingdom of David, Hamelech, the Mashiach, when is that going to then return? Umalchus chayeves mosai tichle. And when will the kingdom of Rome going to be then completed? In other words, the end of the Galus. Toni Rabbanon Gimel Dvorim Olu b'machshava liboros. There are three things that went up Kaviyachol on his machshava to be created, and then he created them. However, im loy olu dinhu sheyalu. If they did not Kaviyachol go up on his machshava, then the svara would dictate that it would then be something that should or would go up. Al hamesha yasriach, on a dead body that it decomposes, because if a person's dead body did not decompose, the family members would store it away, whereby they would continuously be having heartache and distress and suffer from that. Also that the mace should be forgotten from a person's heart, also that the distress should then be subsided over the course of time. And the produce, that it should become spoiled, that ultimately should rot, because if it doesn't and a person stores it away, then it will never then become reproduced. People will then ultimately die of famine. And there's another opinion that says on the currency that would be then used to circulate and provide mekach umemkar, business dealings with one another. The Mishnah now brings additional minhag. A place that has the minhag to do malacha on Tisha B'Av. Now Tisha B'Av itself is aser v'chamisha inuyim, as well as the iser of avelus. But although avelus mi'ikar hadin is aser b'malacha, but since Tisha B'Av is an avelus yeshana, an ancient avelus, referring to the Beis Hamikdash, the Churban Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, it's not as stringent, and therefore there's a minhagim in regards to whether a malacha can be done on Tisha B'Av. So the Mishnah says over here, "Makam shenagu la'asos malacha b'Tisha B'Av oisin," they may do so. Makam shenagu shaloi la'asos malacha ein oisim. However, if the minhag of that place is not to do malacha, then it's prohibited to do malacha on Tisha B'Av. Now the malacha we're talking about over here, even when it's prohibited, is only malacha that is something that takes time. But if something that's going to be quick type of malacha, for example, turning on and off a light, that's not included in this iser of malacha. The Mishnah goes on to say, "V'kol makom talmidei chachamim b'teilim." In all places, even when the place has a minhag to do malacha, talmidei chachamim, who have more of an acute feeling of the loss of the Beis Hamikdash, they are nizbatel, cannot do malacha even in that place where they do malacha. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel oimer lo'olam yaseh adam atzmoi talmid chacham. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, in this regard, a person should make himself a talmid chacham in order to then desist from doing malacha, so then he can then stay focused on the avelus. Says the Gemara, Amar Shmuel, in the name of Shmuel, ein tainis tzibur bebavel ela Tisha B'Av bilvad. In regards to Tainis Tzibur, the stringent fast days that begin even the day before, they do not exist in Bavel. These fast days are for drought in Eretz Yisrael. When it doesn't rain, there's a call for doing teshuvah and public fast days and different severity of those fast days. That does not exist by Bavel, because in Bavel it rains quite well, and therefore the only time you have such stringent fast day in Bavel would be Tisha B'Av. Lememra asked the Gemara, the Sover Shmuel, Tisha B'Av bein hashmoshos shaloi is osir. Does that mean to say, according to Shmuel, that bein hashmoshos in Tisha B'Av will be then osir to eat and drink, just like the stringent fasts of the fast days for drought? Ve'omar Shmuel, behold, Shmuel had said, Tisha B'Av bein hashmoshos shaloi mutter. He said otherwise, that he said that the bein hashmoshos is mutter to eat and to drink on Tisha B'Av. Maybe you'll say, Kesava Shmuel, Kolatayni Sivu Ben Hashmosh Shalom Mutter. You'll say that when he equated the tiny sibur with Tisha B'Av, he was saying that they're both in the Sveika is the Kula, that you can go ahead and eat and drink during the Ben HaShmoshois. That can't be, because it says in the Mishnah, that you can eat and you can drink mi ba'oidom in regards to these fast days for drought. Limu'ute mai, what does it come to exclude? Lav limu'ute ben hashmosh does not come to exclude ben hashmosh, where thereby you cannot eat and drink ben hashmoshos of these fast days. The Gemara says no, loy limu'ute me shachashecha. This that it says in the Mishnah that they begin not eating from and drinking mi boydom is talking about to exclude mishachashecha from nighttime, but ben hashmoshos, the time is safek, where mekel you say you could eat and drink. Neima Messiah lay. Let's bring a proof for what we just said, that both Ben Hashmoshois during Tisha B'Av as well as during the fast days, Shmuel would say you could eat and drink in the Ben Hashmoshois. Neima Messiah lay. Ein Ben Tisha B'Av liyom HaKippurim ela shezeh sveikoi oser v'zeh sveikoi muter. When it comes to the contrast between Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, so on Yom Kippur by Safek we're machmir, whereas Tisha B'Av in the Safek we are mekel. My sveikoi muter. What are we talking about? Which safek is it referring to? La ben hashmos isn't the safek of ben hashmos, whereby will be stringent Yom Kippurim and say you cannot eat and drink during the twilight period. Whereas when it comes to Tisha B'Av, you could eat and drink in that time of safek. Says the Gemara, loy, you have no proof. Keda Omar Rav Shisha B'Reid Rav Idi lekaviyah diyarcha. He was talking about kaviyah diyarcha. Hachanami lekaviyah diyarcha. When there's a safek, let's say the beginning of Tishrei, it's not clear which day was named Rosh Chodesh, whereby when it comes to the Yom Kippurim on Yud Tishrei, if it's a safek, then observe 2 days and be machmir. But when it comes to Av, if it's not clear which was Rosh Chodesh Av, when it comes to Tishrei, we'll just observe 1 day. So we make it when it comes to the safek. Dorash Rava expounded the following: Uborois umenikois misanois umashlimois boy kedersha misanois umashlimois b'yom kippurim. The pregnant women and those women who are nursing, they fast and they complete the fast on Tisha B'Av as they do during Yom Kippurim. The ben hashmoshes shaloi osir, and ben hashmoshes is osir, meaning you cannot eat and drink during the ben hashmoshes, says Rava. And similarly, this was stated in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that again, the Rava and Rabbi Yochanan would say that you cannot eat and drink not only in the Ben Hashmoshes of Yom Kippurim, but even of the Ben Hashmoshes of Tisha B'Av. Umi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hochi asked the Gemara, did Rabbi Yochanan really say this? The Amar Rabbi Yochanan Tisha B'Av Einoi Ketayni Sibur. Rabbi Yochanan said it's not like the tiny Sibur. My law, the Ben Hashmoshes, is it not that he was saying this contrast? It's not like tiny Sibur in regards to Ben Hashmoshes, whereby when it comes to tiny Sibur, then you cannot eat and drink. And so too over here, when it comes to then Tisha B'Av, ask the Gemara, Umi Omar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi, did Rabbi Yochanan really indeed say, like Rav is saying, that both Yom Kippurim as well as Tisha B'Av, you cannot eat and drink during Ben Hashmoshes? V'Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Tisha B'Av Eino Ketaynis Sibur. He stated that Tisha was not like the tiny Sibur, the public fast days when there's a drought. My la Ben Hashmoshes, was he not referring to the contrast in regards to Ben Hashmoshes in the public fast days? He was saying that those are days that you must not eat and drink Ben Hashmoshes. In contrast to that, Tisha B'Av, you would be able to eat and drink during Ben Hashmoshes. Says Gemara, loy le malacha. What he was contrasting was malacha. Malach, in other words, when it comes to the public fast days, those you cannot do malacha. When it comes to Tisha B'Av, you can do malacha. Ask the Gemara, is that so? Malacha tanina. We already taught that in our Mishnah in regards to malacha, and we saw that it's only a minhag. Makom shenahagu la'asas malacha b'Tisha B'Av oisim. Makom shenahagu shelo la'asas ein oisim. Depending on the place, if there's a minhag not to do malacha, then it's prohibited to do malacha. But if it's a minhag to do malacha, you may do malacha. Ve'afilu Rabbi Shem Gamliel, even Rabbi Shem Gamliel, Loy Omar Ella Dechi Yachsiv V'Loy Ovid Loy Mechzik Yora. Even Hashem Gamliel, who was saying that a person should make himself like a Talmid Chacham to not to do malacha, but only he was talking about that it doesn't make him look like he was arrogant. He can desist from doing malacha, and that's proper on Tisha B'Av. So he can go ahead and misabel. Aval Meisar Loy Osar, but he doesn't say that it's Osar, and therefore, how can you say over here that there's a distinction between Tisha B'Av and Shar Tainiyos? Hare, by Tisha B'Av, we're not coming to say that malacha is going to be Osir. Over here we're saying that by Tisha B'Av it's a minhag, depending on if it's Osir or not. Elamai Eino Kitani Sibor Letfila Ne'ilah. Whether you want to say the difference is in regards to the Tainiyos, they require Ne'ilah, whereas the Tisha B'Av does not require Ne'ilah. Is that what we're going to say the distinction is? V'ha'omar Rabbi Yochanan u'levai sheyispalo odem v'hoilech kol hayom kuloi. Rabbi Yochanan himself makes a statement. Halavai, a person should daven throughout the day, and therefore if he said Ne'ilah, it's not a bracha of levatola. So therefore one can say Ne'ilah even during Tisha B'Av. So that can't be a contrast between Tisha B'Av and Shar Tainiyos. The Gemara says no. Hasam chayva hachaveshus. In regards to the other Tainesim, then it's a chayva to say Ne'ilah. In regards to Tisha B'Av, one may say it's a reshus. He won't say a bracha levatola like any other day, but it's certainly not a chayva. The Boisem, another way of explaining, my einoi kitainis tzibur. What did it mean that it's not like tainis tzibur? That Tisha was different. In regards to the 24 brachos, there's 6 additional brachos that are mentioned, that are stated and are expressed during the Chazaras Hashatz in regards to a tainis tzibur. That is not included in Tisha B'Av. Rav Papa said, "My eino k'tainis tzibur." He said, "What does it mean that Tisha is not like tainis tzibur? Eino kirishoinos, not like the first fast days. Ele kachroinos v'asurois, but like the latter fast days, which is more stringent. That Tisha B'Av is like the tainis tzibur, whereby you cannot eat and drink during the bein hashmoshes." Meisvei, the Gemara asks, Ein bein Tisha B'Av liyom HaKippurim. Here the Brisa says there's no difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom HaKippurim. Ela shezeh sfeikoi osir v'zeh sfeikoi muter. Only that this one sfeik is osir and the other one is muter. In other words, when it comes to the Araisa of Yom HaKippurim, the sfeika is osir. When it comes to the Dirabanan of Tisha B'Av, it is muter. My sfeikoi muter. What are we referring to? Lav bein hashmoshois sheloi is not referring to the bein hashmoshois of the time where you can eat and drink, whereby over here we're saying that although Yom HaKippurim you cannot, but Tisha B'Av you can. So here the Brisa seems to say that you can during Tisha B'Av, not like we just said. Rav Shisha b'Reid Rav Idi loy the kviyah liyarcha. No, he said here the difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom HaKippur is kviyah dayarcha. I know that we said before. If there's a suffix in terms of when was Rosh Chodesh, when it comes to Yom HaKippurim, we'll have to observe 2 days, mina chumrah, because we go l'chumrah, the araisa l'chumrah. Tisha B'Av will be makil and say you only have to observe 1 day. Ask the Gemara now. The Gemara now makes a statement that everything, all of their words between Yom HaKippurim and Tisha B'Av are the same. Messiah le'le Rabbi Elazar. So let us bring a support for Rabbi Elazar that Tisha B'Av and Yom HaKippurim are the same. The Omer Rabbi Elazar also l'adam sheyoshit etzbo b'mayim b'Tisha B'Av keder she'also lo yoshit etzbo b'Yom HaKippurim. Just like on Yom HaKippurim, a person cannot even put a finger, an etzba kitana, into even cold water on Yom HaKippurim for rechitza, for pleasure. So too on Yom HaKippurim, you can't even put a small finger into the cold water to get pleasure from. So we see that they're the same. So there will be a support for Rabbi Elazar, just like we just stated now, that called Divreim Zev Zeh Shavim. Ask the Gemara, Meisvei, if you're going to say they're the same, we find a difference. Ein bein Tisha B'Av l'tainis tzibur. There's no difference between the two. Elo shezeh osir b'asiz malacha v'zeh muter b'asiz malacha b'makom shenahagu. We find that when it comes to Shar Tainiyos, it's osir b'malacha. Tisha B'Av is muter b'malacha. Ha lekol divreim zev shovin. That means that everything else, all of their words, we equate Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippurim. V'ilu gabe Tainis Tzibor. Yet when it comes to Tainis Tzibor, we find Tanya Kishamru Ozeh Berechitza, when it says there's a prohibition against washing oneself on the Tainiyos. There it states, Loy Amru Ela Kol Gufoy Avapani Yodav Ragav Loy. It says only the Isser is the entire body, but one's hands, face, and feet, it is mutter. Yet we said before that when it comes to Tisha B'Av, there we're saying that it's also even Etzbe Ketana. So clearly, it's not consistent to say that Zev is Shavin. Rav Papa said, on top of Nun Hey Amud Aleph, Tana Kuli Ketani. The Tana in both brises were saying Lahakel, Dainu. The contrast between Tisha B'Av and Yom HaKippurim, there was saying the Kula. The difference between the two, what it said over here, is regards to the fact that they're both the same, with the exception of Sveikoi. When it comes to Sveikoi D'Yoyma, we said that Yom Kippur would take 2 days, whereas Tisha B'Av would be only 1 day. Similarly, the Brisa, the Tana said in the Brisa that compares Tisha B'Av with the Shar Tainiyos, there it's talking the Kula also. There it's saying, in what way is it Mekil? It's saying that when it comes to Asiyas Malacha, we're Mekil when it comes to Tisha B'Av. But for sure, when it comes to other things, we're not including all these stringencies. For example, when it comes to bathing, certainly Tisha B'Av has the stringency of Yom HaKippurim, whereby you can't even wash even your etzbe ketana with cold water, not only on Yom Kippurim, but even on Tisha B'Av.